In this video, we are going to unbox the new Vitamix Food Processor attachment. And after that, I am going to take you through how to use it while we make a healthy, sugar-free strawberry rhubarb crisp. By the end of it, you'll know whether you want to add this to your Vitamix tools in your Vitamix kitchen. And if you don't yet have a Vitamix, this may just convince you that Vitamix is the best option for your kitchen because it has so many tools that can be attached. And it really is just a multi-use kitchen appliance that can just cover almost all of your healthy cooking needs. I'm Zanana Rose, and this is Natural Living with Zanana, where I share information, tips, and product reviews to help you live a more healthy, sustainable, natural, and non-toxic lifestyle. I sometimes even like to share recipes, and this video is one where I combine a product review with a recipe. So let's get started, friends. Let's open this box. So I just want to tell you that this food processor attachment works with the Ascent blender and the Venturist blender. Basically, it works with any of the blenders that have the self-detect motors in the base. So I have the Ascent A3500 and it works perfectly with this blender base. Now, the base is not included in the box, so let's get this box open. First, we've got the manuals here. There is a booklet that just shows us exactly how to use the Vitamix Food Processor. It talks about all of the blades and when to use each blade and how they each work. It gives you a step-by-step how to use it, keeping it simple and easy. And then in the back of it, it just has a bunch of recipes. There's chicken salad recipe, shows you how to make homemade mayonnaise, pizza dough, an apple pie, and a crust, a turkey burger, and even almond butter. So many recipes here that are fun. And then not to mention, Vitamix has tons of recipes on their website. So you can always go there and find great recipes. Then you've got another booklet that just talks about safety and how to use the Vitamix in a little bit more detail as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and slide it out of the box. I love that they use this paperboard for the packaging. That is just excellent. Let's go ahead and lay it down to make it easier for me to open it up for you. The one thing I don't love is all of the plastic, but I'm gonna take all of these bags off and I can just recycle them at my local grocery store that accepts plastic bag recycling. So let's open this one first. It looks like we've got our first blade here. Again, another piece of plastic. Oh my goodness. Let's hope I can recycle that. But ooh-wee, this is sharp, you guys. So be very careful with these blades. Super sharp. This is the chopping blade. So let's set that aside while we open the mixing bowl here. So here is the mixing bowl. The mixing bowl has two fill lines. It has the liquid fill line, which is 2 liters, and then 2.8 liter max capacity. So if you're doing dry ingredients, you can go all the way up to the max capacity. And in this food processor, you can chop, slice, shred. You can do all of those things with this. On this side, it actually shows you how many cups you can put in it, and it looks like it's a 12 cup capacity, and the liquid fill max is 64 ounces or 8 cups. So I'll just take this little liner out of it because after we go through everything here, I'm gonna rinse it with hot soapy water before we start to use it. So let's unpack this side. Here is a food press, and this is the larger press. So this is the lid here. Now, what is unique about this food processor is that it does have the same type of lid that we are used to when using all of our Vitamix appliances. So it's just gonna snap onto here, just like our other blenders, and it just snaps on 2 times, and then you've got it attached. And then you can use this one for larger items and this for smaller items. Now this piece here opens up and this contains all of our blades. This is the blade holder basically. So when we're storing it, we'll put all of the blades back in there, little piece of plastic there. There are 5 blades, and each of the blades is actually numbered. So this one says number 5, this one is number 4, and you'll flip it on whichever side you're using. So number 5 is a large shred, and the shredding blades are facing up. And then this one is number 4, which is the thick slice. So we're going to end up using the thick slice today while we're doing our strawberries and our rhubarb. So we'll set that down. Be very careful with these blades because again, they are very, very sharp. Now these are dishwasher safe, and so is the main canister. Now, I wouldn't really put it in the dishwasher myself. I usually wash all of my knives and all of my blender attachments by hand. I just like to preserve the life of all of my items as long as I can. Now, this is a BPA-Free Tritan. Again, I've talked in my other videos about how I like to minimize any use of something that is a bisphenol type of plastic because they all can have the potential to leach. So just keeping your food in this as minimal as possible, the smallest amount of time as possible, and trying not to use anything that is too acidic or too fatty in here for, again, a prolonged period of time, because that is essentially going to promote any type of leaching. And of course, heat doesn't mix with any type of plastic. We know that, right, guys? So that's another thing to think about when you're using this product. Anytime a plastic gets scratched or etched or anything like that, you have a greater risk that any sort of leaching of toxic chemicals could happen from the device. So that is why I like to just hand wash and use a very soft cloth or a sponge to clean it, because then you're reducing the risk that it could get scratched up or etched in any way. I would just hand wash. So that's my preference and my recommendation. Anyway, back to the blade. So this is blade number 3. This is the small shred. And this is blade number 2, which is the thin slice. This is just a little quick use guide, and it basically talks about all of the different blades here, how to handle them safely. They say to always pick it up like this, always use this to pick up these blades. And then it just talks about how to store everything and how to release your work bowl. And it comes in both English and French. So again, this is the little lid for your storage container. If you just slide the lid here into these little openings, and then you can just simply click it into place, and there you have it. A nice, easy way to store it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and rinse all of these items in hot soapy water, and I will prepare everything that we're going to need for the strawberry rhubarb crisp, and we'll get right to baking it. And all the while, you'll get to see exactly how this food processor works and how quickly it takes care of the preparation of these items when you're making any recipe. Okay, friends, now for the fun part. So I have rinsed all of my blades and all of my parts here, and I've actually taken the tops off of my strawberries so that they are ready to go. And then I have cut the ends off of the rhubarb here, both ends. So now my rhubarb is ready to go as well. The next thing that we're going to do is take the work bowl that I have rinsed in hot soapy water before its very first use. We're going to set this part on top of our Vitamix. That's the base of the food processor. And then this is going to just slide right over the top of it there. So that slides in. Then we add our blade. So for this part, I'm going to use the thick slice because I don't want it to be too thin and just get to be a mushy mess in my crisp. So I'm going to go ahead and use the thick slice. So whatever blade you're using, the number will be here, and you're simply going to put that number facing up in your bowl so that it actually slices the item. So this has the slicer on this side, the other side is the grater. We're not using the grater, we're using the slicer. So we're going to go ahead and set that on the top. And then on top of that, we're going to add the lid. So the lid just snaps right in, snap, and snap. 2 snaps there. And then next, so this is called the large food chute, and this is the large food presser, and that can just go right into here. It actually slides in to the handle, or the top part of where the handle is there. And we're not going to be using the large food presser. We will only need the small food presser for this recipe today. And this is the small food presser here. For the food processing, I've already turned my Vitamix on over here. You probably can't see it, but the little Vitamix symbol is spinning there. And this is a self-detect device. So it's going to just operate on whatever speed it needs to. We don't have to worry about setting a speed at all when we're using this. So now for the fun part, friends. We're actually going to do the rhubarb first. So I'm go ahead and start putting stalks in here and just watching it slice. So this is very, very exciting. There it goes. And now we'll add another one. And we'll add the next one. Look at how amazing that is. Let's see if I can add 2. And presto, it's all done. All of our rhubarb is sliced inside of the work bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I'm going to transfer the rhubarb to a bowl, and then we'll go ahead and do our strawberries next. So let me go ahead and take the lid off, and let's just see what it looks like inside of our work bowl. So you can just unclip it there, and then I'm going to go ahead and take off the blade and just show you what we've got. Look at that, nice and sliced up. We may be able to go ahead and add the strawberries here, but I'm just going to go ahead and put them in a bowl, and then we'll do the strawberries next. Okay, I've rinsed all my parts, and now we're ready for the strawberries. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been a little bit skeptical about a food processor. I have thought, do I really need a food processor? Because why would I want another gadget in my home? I just didn't think I really needed it. And did I really want to buy another plasticky piece of equipment? So boy, oh boy, this rhubarb has really taught me how quickly this will work for me and how much I can save time, which makes room for more things that I enjoy in life versus chopping and cutting, which can sometimes be a little hard on your body too. So you're saving your body a little bit when you go with this. Now, along with that skepticism, I was thinking, can you really chop strawberries in the food processor? So I'm so excited to try this, you guys, and see how it works with you. And that's what we're going to do next. So I'm just putting all of the pieces back together here on the food processor. Again, we're going to use the thick slicer, which is the number 4 blade. I have washed and prepared these strawberries, so let's just go ahead and add them in here. I'm putting them in the small section. I could try it in the large section, and we can just see if it works like that as well. But here we go. So we're going to go ahead and start it, and let's see what happens. Wow, they just slice right up in there, you guys. I dropped one in the other section, so I'm going to pull that out. But now I'm curious, can we go ahead and put them in the other section, the larger section? I've got quite a few berries left. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them in to this section here, and let's see what happens. They are sliced so nicely, you guys. And let's watch what happens when we've used the larger section. So the larger section does work. However, you can't fill it too full because this little spike here that's coming down off of this food press needs to go into a little hole that is on the top of the handle of the food processor, a safety mechanism. So if we fill it too full, then it actually will not start the blender. The blender will not start, it won't process. So that is what I learned there, is that you can't fill that section too full. So we can use it, but we can only fill it partway full, and then we've got to engage the safety mechanism in order for it to work. There you have it. So let's do the rest of the strawberries now. So that's it. In a flash, strawberries are sliced and ready to go for our crisp. So I'm going to lift everything off of the blender so that I can show you here. There is a little mechanism that you must press in order to get the work bowl off of the blending base. Now, you never have to wash the blending base. This should be fine. If you need to wipe it, you can wipe it with a damp cloth, but that should be just fine and not need any real washing. So here we go, guys. Let's take the lid off and let's take a look at our strawberries. It's a little tough to get this off. They make it really safe and easy so that you don't end up hurting yourself. Now we need 7 to 8 cups of fruit, whatever fruit you're going to use. And like we said, we're using strawberries and rhubarbs today. Here are the strawberries. Look at that. We may even have a little bit more than we need, but I'm going to go ahead and put it all in because it's going to cook down and it's going to be delicious and fruity. So I'm going to come right back with a big bowl and we'll mix together the fruit mixture before we use our food processor again to make the crumb topping. Okay, so crisp is so easy to make, you guys. That's why I love making it. It's such a delicious dessert and it's so healthy for us. And remember, this is a sugar-free version, so that makes it even healthier. And I'm using rhubarb and strawberries today, but you can actually use whatever fruit you would like. I've made it with apples, I've made it with apple and pear, I've made it with berries. You can use whatever fruit is in season, and you can even use frozen fruit. I have done that as well when there weren't any good fruits in season, but right now rhubarb is in season, so that is so exciting. I'm going to mix the rhubarb in the bowl with the strawberries, and as we're adding that, we'll add the rest of the ingredients. Now, I'm making this gluten-free as well, so if that is the way that you like to cook too, this recipe is perfect for you. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and then I'm also adding 2 to 3 tablespoons of tapioca starch or arrowroot starch. That is our thickener, so we're going to add that in as well. Last but not least, we're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of the monk fruit sweetener. And this is a 0-calorie liquid sweetener. This one is organic. It's my favorite brand. I absolutely love it. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 because the rhubarb tends to be a little bit tart. So I just want to make sure that it's nice and sweet here. And now we're just going to stir it up. Look at that, looks amazing. I can't wait to eat this delicious, healthy crisp. So now we're gonna go ahead and take our fruit and we'll spread it along the bottom of our 9 by 13 inch baking dish. And we'll just spread it out here. There's no need to butter the pan or anything. It's going to cook perfectly in here. It shouldn't stick at all. It's gonna have enough liquid in it that it won't be sticky. So now we'll spread this evenly in the bottom of the dish, and that's how it looks. We're ready to go. So I'm going to gather up all of the ingredients for the crisp topping, the crumb topping that will go on top of this, and then I will be back to use the Vitamix food processor again to prepare that part of the recipe. Okay, so let's get into making the crisp crumb topping. But before we do, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video, if you're learning a lot about the Vitamix food processor and you're enjoying this sugar-free healthy recipe, then give this video a thumbs up and also share it with anyone who you know that might be interested in this, interested in the Vitamix food processor, or in great healthy sugar-free recipes. If anyone out there you know is trying to kick sugar, then share this video with them. And don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you back here to hang out every single week when I post new videos. So subscribe and hit the little bell so that you get notified of every single episode. So let's do it, guys. Let's make the rest of this recipe. Basically, all we need to do is add the rest of the ingredients into the food processor work bowl. And before we do that, we're going to add the blade. So this is the #1 blade. This is the multi-use blade that is just going to chop everything up. So we're just going to set that down into the food processor. It's super easy. Now I'm using this coconut that is actually a rough cut coconut. I think it'll be a great use for this because we'll get to see how the food processor works for this type of coconut. We're gonna add in our almond flour. This is 1 3/4 cups of almond flour. So just adding that in to our food processor here. And then next we're adding Swerve, which is our sugar replacement. It's a non-GMO, 0-calorie product. It's actually made from erythritol. I talk about that a little bit here on my channel. This is the brown version, which makes this crisp so delicious. So we're gonna put in 1/2 cup of that, and we're also adding 1/2 cup of allulose, which is my other favorite 0-calorie sweetener. And we've got the spices. So we've got 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of salt. Last but not least, I've got 1.5 cubes of butter. That's 3/4 cup. Now, normally I make this recipe and I actually just melt the butter and then I blend all the ingredients together, just mix them up and put it on top. But for this recipe, we get to use our food processor. So we don't have to melt it. We can just add these hard sticks of butter right on into the food processor and it will take care of it for us. It's gonna make it into a nice crumb-like topping. So I'm gonna put each of these sticks here into the food processor as well. And another part of this recipe is the chopped pecans. And normally I chop them before I add them to the recipe, but in this case, I'm just gonna add them towards the end and we'll let the food processor do the work of chopping them for us. We're gonna reserve the oats until the end and we'll mix it together with the crumb topping in a bowl after we do the processing. So I just wanna say too that it has actually been super easy to clean and rinse all of the parts to the food processor in between each use throughout this recipe. Actually, kind of even easier than the blender canisters, if I must say so myself. So let's go ahead and place this on top of our food processor. Make sure everything is secured. And remember, we don't have to change the dial at all. The food processor base just knows automatically how to treat what speed to work at in order to process these ingredients. So here we go. We're just gonna push start and we're gonna see what happens. Look at that, guys. It's totally turning it into a nice crumb topping. Okay, I think it's getting pretty hot in there, so I don't want to do too much more, but let's go ahead and add in the pecans now. And I'm going to take out the large food press here, and we'll put the pecans into the food processor through this large area here. It's not mixing up very good now. It's kind of stuck. Okay, so I just had to stir the ingredients up a little bit because it wasn't blending very well anymore. It seems like everything has gotten pretty thick in there, so I kind of tried to stir it up. So let's run it again and see what happens. Well, the blade is just turning beneath the ingredients, so it doesn't seem to be mixing it up super well. I'm going to go ahead and push the ingredients down into the food processor a little bit further, and let's see if that helps. I'm going to go ahead and just try the pulse button. Maybe that's the button I should have used in the first place. I'm new to this Vitamix food processor, you guys. This is live. You're getting my actual experience with this machine, using it for the very first time. So here we go. Let's try pulse and see what happens. Well, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. So let's go ahead and take this out of the work bowl, and we're gonna add in these oats and we're gonna put it on top of our crisp. All right, so remember, you just push the lever down here to release the work bowl. And this time we've got a blade in here towards the bottom. So I'm gonna just pull that out, We'll get our ingredients in here. Ooh, the top of this is just a little bit hot. And that could be part of the reason why it's clumping and sticking so much, is that this blade is hot. So it is going to melt the butter, and maybe that's part of the reason it's getting so sticky. This is a real first impression, guys. So I hope that's what you were looking for in this video. Clearly, I've got a lot to learn with using a food processor. It's delicious though, I'll tell you that much. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside and we'll mix our oats into the crisp topping. I am no professional chef, you guys. I am just a person who loves to cook and bake and make healthy food for myself and my family. So you're just getting a regular person kind of experience here in this Vitamix video. So I've added the oats in, and I'm just gonna mix all of these up. I might even use my hands to mix it. It'll probably be a little bit easier than mixing with this spoon here. So let's just dig in and do it. So mixing this up and just blending the oats in with the rest of it. Now you could leave the oats out if you really wanted this to be a grain-free recipe. If you were going a little bit more paleo, because remember the sugars and everything make this recipe low carb. It even uses almond flour instead of a grain-based flour. And you could even make it vegan by just switching to coconut oil instead of butter. So that's an option as well. So one of the things that I could have done too is keep the coconut out and add the coconut in, shredded coconut in with these oats here, and then that wouldn't have needed to blend in the food processor. So that is totally an option too, and next time I would certainly chop my nuts and add those at the end as well. So I think I would just do all of the dry ingredients with the butter only and just use the pulse button. So there you have it. Let's go ahead and spread this on top of our fruit for the crisp, and we'll get ready to put it in the oven. Okay, we're just gonna add this on top of our fruit here. And I love a lot of the crisp part of fruit crisp. So that's why I make a pretty decent recipe. Now you don't have to make this big of a recipe if you don't want to. You could split it in half if you like yours to be a little bit more fruity. So now we're just gonna spread this evenly over the top of the fruit. And like I said, it's gonna be pretty thick. Okay, so I've evened it out, I've spread it around. Look at that, it looks beautiful. Now this is gonna bake in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes, and it's going to bubble around the edges when it's done, and it's gonna be browned at the top. It's gonna be delicious. I have to tell you that this recipe is inspired by the Minimalist Baker recipe, and I will put a link to that down in the description as well. I've altered it just a little bit, but I was inspired by that recipe originally. She has great recipes on her website that I just love. Super good, healthy recipes. So there you have it, friends. This baked for 45 minutes. It's nice and crispy and browned on the top. And I served myself a little piece, and look at that, it looks delicious. I like to pour a little bit of Nut Pods creamer on the top of it, or you could serve it with just a little bit of ice cream. I like the So Delicious ice cream that's sugar-free. It's so good, you guys. So let's have a little bite and we'll just taste it. It cooked up really nicely. So good. Strawberry and rhubarb, nice oaty topping. Oh my goodness, a little bit tart, a little bit sweet. It's really, really good, you guys. And we tried out the Vitamix Food Processor. This was my first use video. You saw it all. Obviously, there's a bit of a learning curve to parts of it, and parts of it went so well, like a flash. Cutting those vegetables was like a flash. I couldn't believe it. Saves time and saves your body while you're cutting and cooking. I think the place where I could have done it differently is to go ahead and cube up the butter and then put it in here, and then use the pulse button instead of just the regular blend button. But again, it's gonna have a little bit of a learning curve. I'll get it down, you'll get it down. If you do decide to get one of these food processors, I've got all of the information in my description. I am a partner with Vitamix, so I've got special deals to offer you. Just watch the description, because I'll be posting any specials that come up down there for you. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, a like if you did, subscribe, hit the little bell so that you get notified of every single episode, and be sure to share this video with anyone that you think might appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by, friends. I wish you the very best of health, and I'll see you in the next video.